Storytime Sunday. I'm Natalia. If you're new, hi, I make story times sometimes. Usually I'm very consistent. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm very consistent with my schedule. I typically post at least one video a week. Usually two, but depends on the week, depends on how stressful it is. This week has been so stressful, you do not understand. So I had a whole week off because Hurricane Irma came and like fucked shit up in Florida and the Caribbean, and school was canceled for a whole week. So that means that I have to make up a week's worth of work. It wasn't even like, it was more than a week, it was like a week and a half. So the semester, they didn't extend the semester, they didn't make the semester longer. So now I have to like cram like a week's worth of stuff, and like they're going very fast and like fast paced, and I have like a lot of assignments due, and it's just like very stressful. And I'm going home tomorrow, and today's actually Thursday. You guys are seeing this on Sunday obviously, or it depends on when you see this. But this intro has been so long, so I'm just gonna get into the story. So this morning I was reading this one thing on Instagram, and it was like a post about some naval nurses being like I guess like to little black baby, saying like, oh, I hate these people or something like that, like something super like messed up, and they were like sticking their middle finger out to the baby, and it's just like they taking pictures of the baby, and it just made me like, this is a freaking newborn, what makes you be such a piece of shit? And then I was like reading through the comments, and people were like, oh, this is disgusting or whatever, but there's this one person that was like they were talking about, some people were like, oh, those nurses should go to jail because the nurses were just like relieved of their position or something, or they were like transferred somewhere else or something like that. But they're like freaking naval nurses, like they're from like the Navy and they weren't like charged with anything like for doing that. Like they're supposed to obviously like they represent the US, like how are they gonna be doing things like this? I don't know. But they were just like, they weren't even fired or anything. And someone commented something like, oh, why should they go to jail? People cry about everything nowadays. And then I was like, well, that's because they're breaking HIPAA. Like, it's a federal law, you can't be breaking, it's a federal offense, you get fined or you can go to jail depending on what it is. And if for you guys that don't know what HIPAA is, HIPAA stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. So what does that, like, what is all that I just said? It basically is protecting patient confidential information. So if you go to like health insurance, like health information, patient health information, protected patient health information. So if you go to a doctor and you're getting a pregnancy test, or you're, I don't know, you're getting birth control, your doctor is not allowed, or let's say you see someone at the doctor's office that works there, like your friend's a nurse and you see her and you didn't know she worked there or whatever, she's not allowed to go tell someone like, hey, you know Natalia came into the doctor's office today and she's pregnant, or she has this or she has that. You know, obviously there's circumstances where it's mandatory. Like I'm pretty sure that if you have certain diseases like HIV, the doctors are required to report it to the CDC, but they can't go and like tell someone like a random person like, oh, you know, this person has HIV or whatever. Anyway, this is like super drawn out, but like this is what the story time came about. Like literally today I was thinking about this, and I remember then that Instagram post and like that comment made me think of the time that my patient confidential information was violated. So HIPAA was violated for me. And the way it made me feel, because I'm a knowledgeable person, I may seem stupid, I may say some stupid shit, but I'm not gonna say very smart, but I'm like pretty educated, you know, like I know some stuff sometimes, and I know specifically more stuff about medical because I work in the medical field and I work at a health center, and I've just had more education when it comes to like medicine and things like that. So I went to a doctor, and I went to a doctor because first of all, I don't have health insurance. I kind of do now, but like before, I haven't had health insurance since like I graduated high school. So my mom got some form of like health insurance, so I went to a doctor because I hadn't been to a doctor since high school. Like I hadn't been to like a general practitioner since high school. So I really need to go for a checkup. And second, I have really irregular periods. I hadn't got my period for a couple months, but I knew I wasn't pregnant. Like I didn't have any pregnancy symptoms. I had taken like 10 pregnancy tests already. I just knew I wasn't pregnant, but my period has always been super irregular. Like always, like it's never been regular. It wasn't that I had my period consecutively and then all of a sudden my period like stopped coming, like no. And it was mainly because I got off birth control, so I think my body was like acting like weird. But so I went to the doctor, and you know, you check into the doctor's office, and then like you give them all the information, and then a nurse, typically, this person wasn't a nurse, but or a medical assistant, calls you into a room. They usually close the door, and then they weigh you, they measure you, they take your blood pressure, they ask you questions like, are you sexually active, you know, do you smoke, do you drink, like when was your last period? So I walk into the room, and first of all, first strike for me, this lady leaves the door open. And when I walked into the room, I expected her to close it, because they always close the door, because it's like you don't want, like, how am I gonna feel open to tell you things, or like tell you like, oh, you know, this is like what's going on with me, like I have a pain here, or like tell her things that I don't want other people to know, if she's leaving the door open for everybody to hear. Like, first of all, that was the first issue. And then so I was like, okay, whatever. And then so she's like she's weighing me, and she's like telling me, she's like, oh, you're so pretty. And I'm like, oh, thank you. She's like, where are you from? And I was like, I'm Colombian. She's like, oh, that's why you're so pretty. All Colombians are so pretty. And then like, I'm not saying this to like toot my own horn and be like, ha, Colombian. Like, no, like literally this is what she was saying. And I was just like, thank you, whatever. And then this one lady, like this, like she's not a worker, she's not an employee, like a patient, comes in with like literally shit in her hands. Like literally, like she had a stool sample in a cup, and then she's like, she comes into the room, like she knocks on the door kind of, and the medical assistant, like, it doesn't say like, oh, I'll be with you like in a little bit, go sit in the sitting room, and like I'm busy. She like tells her to come in. She comes in, and she like, while this lady's talking to me about like my medical history, this lady with a stool sample was like, oh, I'm looking for Dr. blah blah blah, or like she told me to give this to you. And then the medical assistant was like, okay, I'll be with you in a little bit. So she walks out, and I'm just like seriously? Like, first of all, how does she get inside and like come into this room without someone stopping her? You know, like, how did, like, this place, I just felt like was super unprofessional. And like, if it wasn't for the doctor, like I wouldn't go back. But like, the doctor is like amazing. Like, she hasn't done anything wrong. It's like the medical assistant and everything else. Like, how are they gonna let her just walk into the room? And like, the way they do things, like, it doesn't make sense. So whatever. So I tell her about how I haven't been having my periods, and then she's like, oh, are you pregnant? And I'm like, no, I took a pregnancy test, like I know I'm not pregnant. I just like want to see if there's something medically wrong with me. Like, I want to see if maybe like I have a thyroid issue, maybe it's my vegan diet. And like, you know, I told her that I was vegan, and then maybe like I wasn't getting enough iron, or like whatever. It wasn't my vegan diet, like they don't know what it is, but it's not like, it's nothing obviously serious, it's just my periods are regular. But so she writes all that information down, and then the doctor comes and sees me. The doctor takes me to like a different room, and she closes the door, talks to the doctor. The doctor is very friendly. She's very like, the doctor was very cool. And like, she's like, okay, we're gonna do a pregnancy test to make sure you're not pregnant, then we're gonna run other tests. And I told her, like, trust me, I'm not pregnant. She's like, I know, but I have to do it anyway, you know, like it's like procedure. And I was like, I understand, you know, like I don't mind taking a pregnancy test, like I don't care. So she's like, gives me a little pee cup, or she's like, she writes something down on a piece of paper. And then she takes me to the room where the medical assistant was, and she gives a paper to the medical assistant. And in the room was another patient, and I'm like, I walk into the room, and it's like, it's not like it's like a consultation room. It's like not like the middle of the office. It's like literally a consultation room. Like, they didn't bring the pickup to me. I had to go, and then it was weird because the medical assistant was like, oh, this is your pregnancy test, in front of this other person. And like the person looked at me like, aren't you young to be pregnant or something? And I just felt so bad. I was like, shit, like, why do you have to stand in front of everybody? Like, I was fuming, and I really wanted to say, like, you're breaking HIPAA, like, this is illegal, like, I can report you, but I didn't want to do that. So I was just like, okay, whatever, like, maybe next time I won't get this medical assistant, like, it doesn't matter, like, I'm never gonna see these people again. And I suffer from, like, anxiety, and I have, like, really bad temper, and, like, it was taking everything in me not to, like, be super, like, freaking out, first of all, like, with anxiety, and then, like, being super angry. So I go take the pregnancy test, it comes back negative, and then the doctor said, okay, I'm gonna send you to a gynecologist, and they're probably gonna recommend a pap smear. You're not 21 yet, because pap smears, they usually start doing it like them every like 3 years once you turn 21 or something like that, or like you start it when you're 21, and then you do it every so often, like every 3 years or something like that, around that time. And I'm not sure if I may not be right about the 3 years. If you know the right answer, you can let me know in the comments. So she said, they're probably gonna have you do a pap smear, but it's up to the gynecologist. And I was like, totally fine, like whatever it takes, you know, like I just, like, especially with my anxiety, I'm thinking like I have like cancer or some shit like crazy. So I get a referral for the gynecologist. I go to the gynecologist. The gynecologist is amazing. Like I was super nervous for this pap smear, but it went like perfect. I didn't even feel anything. He was hilarious. First of all, like I did not feel awkward like spreading my legs wide open for him. Like it was fine. I mean, not like in that way, but like I thought it was gonna be awkward because I've never been to a gynecologist, but like he was amazing. So I scheduled an appointment with my general doctor so I can like talk over the results with her, and like so that she can tell me about my blood tests and things like that. So I go back to the general practitioner after I had the pap smear like weeks later with the results and all that, and she's gonna tell me about my blood tests and things like that. And I see the same medical assistant. She takes me in, and I'm like, she doesn't even recognize me. First of all, she just says the same. She goes through the same spiel like, where are you from? Are you Colombian? Are you so pretty? And she does the same thing. She weighs me, and then she weighs me. She takes my height. She's doing like the initial intake where she like asked me my last period. I tell her I had gotten my period then, like after I took the pregnancy test and I got my pap smear, I got my period. So it was like, oh, it hasn't been like it had been like 4 months, and then I got my period after like my test. So I like told her like, oh, it was like 2 weeks ago or something like that. And then she says like, oh, you've never had a pap smear, right? And she's like typing, and I was like, oh, I have. And she's like, why? She was like screaming at me, and I was like, because the doctor told me I had to get one. She's like, no, you don't get one before you turn 21. You're not supposed to do that before you're 21. She's like screaming at me, and I'm like, okay. And it's like she's screaming at me as if I went to the doctor and was like, give me a pap smear, I need a pap smear, I need a pap. I'm like, no. And then she's like, I worked in the gynecology office for years before I worked here. She's like, what doctor was that? She was like freaking out, and I was like, oh, she's like, it wasn't here. And I was like, no, it was actually the doctor, like it was actually here, like this doctor, like she recommended me, like she's the one that told me to go get one. And she was like yelling at me, and so then she like proceeds to take my blood pressure, and my blood pressure is usually low. Like my blood pressure, like it's usually lower than, like it's not like super low, but it's like usually lower than like average. And it was like normal this time, but my heartbeat was like beating super fast because she was like blaming me. She was like acting like if I like, I don't know, like if I was some type of hoe or something. Like I don't know what she was saying, but she was like accusing me, and like I was mad and I was getting anxiety. And she's like, she sees my heartbeat, she's like, honey, are you okay? And I'm like I stayed quiet, and I was like, she's like, what's wrong with you? Like why your heartbeat's like, she's like starts like freaking out about my heartbeat. And I get so mad, and I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like I'm trying to tell her like I'm fine, you know, like I'm fine, like don't worry about it. And then she's like freaking out, and she's like puts like the little like oxygen thing on my finger to see like if I'm okay. And she's like touching me, like, and I'm like, stop. I take it off. I was like, can you stop? And like I literally like yanked it off my finger. I was like, stop. I get anxiety, like stop. I get anxiety, like I'm just having anxiety, can you stop? Like I'm just like, I yelled, like I didn't go off on her, but like I kind of like told her to stop, like stop it, like you're like, I don't want to see you anymore kind of like thing. Like I was just like, stop it. So then she's like, oh shit, okay. So she's kind of like I guess it was kind of like standoffish, so she's kind of like weird with me. So she takes me to where the doctor's room is. So I walk in there, I close the door, and then like I like pour my heart out to this doctor. Like I poured out, but I was like, that medical assistant, like I'm like freaking out. Like I was like the one woman that goes and she's like, can I speak to your manager with the short hair? Like the way I'm getting right now, like I'm still angry over this. Like can you tell how frustrated this made me? Like I'm telling her what happened. She's like, the doctor's just like, calm down, like just calm down. And so I calm down, and like whatever, haven't been there since. But like this lady, like seriously, like I don't know. So whatever, I tell the doctor, like I'm like, this medical assistant, she's here breaking HIPAA. And as soon as I said HIPAA, the breaking HIPAA, she like, her face like fell. She was like, shit, like I just don't want to get like sued. I don't want, like, you know, because I like told her like everything. I told this doctor not only what happened today, and not only did she do this with the door open, again, the medical assistant, but like it's just like confidentiality breach, you know. So this doctor was getting like super like worried that like I was gonna like do something, like complain about them or some shit, but I obviously didn't. And I'm not gonna say like where the doctor was or like any of that, so you guys won't know. But yeah, and that was my worst experience at a doctor's office ever. And like not even that, like the day I went to get my, oh okay, well I guess I'll tell you like the results. So the results turned out fine. Like my pap smear came out completely fine. The blood test all came back normal. The only thing that was a little bit off was that my blood sugar was a little bit low. So the doctor just told me that I had to eat more like carbs, which is like weird because my mom was always like telling me like, oh, you can't eat carbs, you have to stop eating so much carbs, you're gonna get fat. But like my doctor like told me like you have to start eating more carbs because your sugar is like very low, and you know, like it's not good, and you're gonna be tired and feel like bad. So I started eating more carbs or whatever. But the day that I went to go get my blood test before like before I got my pap smear, it was like the worst day of my life. Like this doctor's office like didn't send the referral for the blood test because I had to go to like the hospital to get the blood test done there, because the lab people at the doctor's office was like not like where they weren't there, like they wouldn't do it at the doctor's office. So I had to go to the hospital, and I literally waited hours. Like they didn't send over the referral, and I had to call them. And then this freaking doctor called my mom. Like, yes, my mom knows most of my health information, but like my mom didn't know like everything that was going on. Like I didn't tell her why I went to the doctor. I just told her like I'm going to the doctor like to get a checkup, you know. She calls my mom. She's like talking to my mom, and I didn't like, first of all, I'm over 18, so my mom does not need to know my medical information unless I want her to know it. And it was just like, I just felt very upset. Like I already felt like they were breaking HIPAA, and now like it was even worse that they were like calling my mom and leaving my mom voicemails instead of calling me. Like that was just very frustrating for me. And I hadn't eaten all day that day because like I was gonna have blood test done, so like you have to do it on an empty stomach, and I was just like very hangry. I was just very annoyed, and I finally like got home and was like angry. Like it was just so frustrating. But yeah, that was the worst doctor appointment experience of my entire life. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I like literally went through it again. Like I literally got so angry all over again because this doctor was not this doctor, this freaking medical assistant, I swear. Like next time I go, if she's still there, I'm gonna be pissed. Like I'm gonna be like, can I get someone else please? But yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
That little bitch, you can fuck with me if you wanted to. These expensive, these is red bottoms, these is bloody shoes. Then I'm quick, cut a nigga off, so don't get comfortable. Look.